In this video, we are going to go over some slightly more difficult absolute value equations, and you're going to rock them. Let's do it. So we're told to solve each. Remember that with absolute value equations, you want to isolate the absolute value bars and undo them by saying the number's distance from 0 is, and figuring it out that way. So here we have the absolute value of all of this is 15. Well, okay, if the absolute value of all this junk, this stuff, is 15, we know that this stuff is 15 to the left or 15 to the right of 0. So in my head, I'm picturing this and saying, all right, from 0, we're either 15 to the right or we're 15 to the left. Nice! So negative 10n plus 5 is equal to negative 15. Or, and I guess I'll just kind of squish it in here, negative 10n plus 5 is equal to positive 15. We're encroaching on this problem here. Again, the idea is that the distance that this is from 0, the negative 10n plus 5, is 15. 15 to the left or to the right. We solve each individually now, so I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Old school equation solving now. You get negative 10n is equal to negative 20, and then divide both sides by negative 10. And you are going to get yourself n equal to 2. So that's one solution. Or we're going to do the same exact operations, right? We're going to subtract 5 from both sides. And from there, we'll get negative 10n is equal to 10. And I'll divide both sides by negative 10. Again, old school equation solving. And so that is going to end up equaling to negative 1. And if you plug those numbers into this equation here, and then take the absolute value, you're going to get 15 no matter which way you do it. Pretty sweet. Okay, this problem here, it's a little more advanced, but the idea is get the absolute value alone. So let's do that. So I'm going to treat this, I'm looking at it as if it's like 4a for absolute value minus 12 equals 2. So if I look at it that way, I can add 12 to both sides to, not 12, geez, just making up numbers. I'll just write the 14 right over it. So we're going to add 14 to both sides. I'm looking at it as 4 times a minus 14. So I'm going to add 14 to both sides. Beautiful. And that leaves us with 4 times, and I'm just going to call it a. This is how I'm looking at it in my head. A is all of the absolute value. Then I'm going to divide by 4. So if I divide by 4 on both sides, I'll get 4, right? 4 divided by 4 is 1. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So a is that absolute value. So we have the absolute value of 2r minus 7 is equal to 4. Now, just like we did here, if you have the absolute value is 4, that means the distance this is from 0 is 4. So either 2r minus 7 is 4 to the left, it's negative 4, or 2r minus 7 is 4 to the right. Beautiful. From here, we're just solving out the equation as usual. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. You get 2r is equal to 3. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. R is equal to 3/2. So that's one solution. Or, so once you split it up, really once you've gotten to this step, you're in good shape. Or we've got adding 7 to both sides again. So I get 2r equals 11 because 4 plus 7 is 11. And then I divide both sides by 2 and I'll have my answer. R is equal to 11/2. So those are my two options. The whole point here, guys, is to practice getting to this step right here. So what I would do is isolate the absolute value and then split it up into distance to the left and distance to the right, or I should say amount to the left and amount to the right. Then you're practicing the same idea over and over again because the rest of this is all old solving equation skills. All right, last challenge problem from these absolute value equations. We're going to, again, isolate the absolute value, but something interesting is going to happen here. So I subtract 5 from both sides, and I get 3 times the absolute value of x is equal to negative 3. Then I divide by 3. Again, I want to isolate the absolute value. So I do that, and I get the absolute value of x equals negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. So this says the distance that x is from 0 is negative 1. But distance can't be negative, right? There is no negative distance. And so what that means is we don't have an absolute value that will give us negative 1. There's no solution to this equation. So if the absolute value equals a negative number, there can't be a solution. Sweet! See you in the next video.